I'm stage 4 terminal. So I'm never going to beat cancer. I'm never going to be faster than cancer, whatever. I'm never going to be that guy. I'm always going to be racing cancer, always. And it depends on how you race, you know? And man, I don't like looking over my shoulder. I've been looking over my shoulder for 8 years, 7 years, whatever. I'm at the point now where I just don't want to look over my shoulder. I'm working again. I'm doing what I do. Listen, man, I struggle. I
Hey, everybody, welcome to the new edition of the Talking About Cars podcast with me, Randy Cardoon, and a couple of guys you may know. One, of course, our host of the program, the one, the only, Hot Rod Bob Beck. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, everybody out there.
Yes, yes.
And of course, right next to him, the one, the only, he's been on the show before. And although, frankly, Bob, the hair is looking kind of 60s. You know what I mean? Not that we don't dream about doing that. Bob
I'm
Alderman
ready.
joining us on the program. Hi, Bob.
Listen, Mr. Purdue.
I've gone after his hair, the first thing on the show. All right, go ahead.
I'm not going to explain myself,
Okay.
but it had something to do with being in the shower one day with absolutely no hair. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I mean, that was a astute observation. I was washing my head.
I'm going to regret that, aren't I? Yeah.
No,
Okay,
we're
go ahead.
not. I was washing my head, and I said to my hair, I said, if you grow back, I will never cut you again. And it's been 8 years. And yeah, it does. It's long. And
Yeah.
Okay, you can boo, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you.
listen, it's my
I
cancer.
stuck my foot in it on this one.
No, you didn't. Because listen, my wife hates it, my daughters hate it, my son loves it, but we're
Yeah, but
guys.
guys never usually make their hair go that long unless they can. Then it's like, all right, this is great. That kind of thing.
You take back whatever you can get, you know what I mean?
hmm Everybody,
Yeah.
welcome to the program, and of course, our guest today. And you may be noticing so far this season on the Talking About Cars podcast, we basically run a lot of stuff from our previous tour. I think what we wanted to do is we wanted to introduce everybody to the show here and give us a chance to build up our audience a little bit and kind of show everybody what we've been up to, at least on this channel, because we kind of disappeared for 2 years being, on this program talking about cars, yeah, on PowerTube TV. That's what it was. And we disappeared over there, and then we're back. And now we're giving you guys all a chance. If you haven't seen it on PowerTube, which we had a good experience at, now we're putting it on our channel here and on YouTube, and we're trying to see where it goes from there. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And we've shown you mostly programs from that era. I mean, and,
It
and
was.
for those of you wondering where we're going with this, the story is basically this. Bob has been a big race car guy in the Ventura County, California area, Southern California. He's been around other places as well, and he has cancer. And so tell us a little bit where we go from there and then how this affected you. What has happened since?
Well, I if I remember correctly, I hadn't driven anything yet, had I, when we
No,
were on the show last time?
no, not yet.
I think I
No.
was just kind of still coming out of the side effects of all the treatment and stuff.
Right. I don't think you were racing
And
again.
I think that what was happening then was um I got together with Bob and I reached out to him, and I watched his podcast, and I mentioned something about my cancer deal, and he said, "How can I help?" And that turned into this. And through that journey, I met you, and it was more about the cancer fight than anything else. But then I went to Bonneville. I ran for a land speed record, and we didn't get it, but it was in 21. I was 6 months out of treatment. And then 3 years later, I was able to get back into a sprint car. And getting back into the sprint car was huge. I raced 2 seasons now. I missed a few races last season, but this season I'm going to run them all. And the whole thing's been about uh, just attitude and what it takes to get through a disease like this. Because I kept progressing, but I kept getting through the treatment, and as I got through the treatment, I kept learning more, and I kept leveling up, and I was able to start sharing that in a way that people understood because I was talking to other cancer patients, and I was advocating, and I was trying to boost them up a little bit because there were a lot of them that weren't actually as far as I was in the journey, and I'm bracing, I'm working again, I'm doing all of that. I'm 8 years stage four terminal when that's a long time, and I keep coming out of the treatments and I keep fighting through them, and I haven't really slowed down. So I think that the purpose of this conversation is to talk about attitude and passion and how much passion has to do with getting through any kind of late stage illness. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be cancer, it can be diabetes, it can be anything. And attitude and diet and exercise, the right doctors, and the whole thing. It's a pie, and you take what you need from that pie when you need it. I wrote a book, um, way out of my wheelhouse. Took quite a while, and we finished it recently, and I had a lot of help with my friend and my assistant Cole Wakem. He's the computer guy and does all that stuff and guides me through it. But yeah, I spoke into a tape recorder and after about a year and a half, turned it into words and tried to make it come out when you read it. It's like you hear me talking. I think that's was my whole goal, and it's on Amazon, and we're really excited about it. I think it's going to help a lot of people. If it just helps one, that would be great. But I feel it's going to bring a lot of awareness to the disease. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of things that cancer patients go through that I just want them to not have to go through that. A lot of it doesn't feel good, but I just think it's better.
Well, one of the things that's happened is you haven't given up. You've never sat back and let it control you. You face it head on, and you're doing everything you can to show it that it's not boss, you are, and you're persevering with this. You're not letting it stop you.
That's that's true, and that's a thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And everybody always sees part of that deal, because there is the other part, fetal position on the couch at 3 o'clock in the morning, tears running down my face, not being a victim, not being anything, but just getting a little emotional about it. It comes back. It's not drama anymore. It's become more of a lifestyle. I'm right now just a couple weeks out of radiation. I had some radiation. It came back on my spine. It came back on a couple of vertebrae, and fortunately, it didn't come back in a place where it had already been. So we were able to radiate, and that's usually the easy way out. Um, believe it or not. Um, this one was rough. I'm not going to lie. And then today is like the first day I feel pretty good, and I'm here talking to you guys, and we're launching a book.
And that shows a lot. That's your perseverance. We've talked, we've been friends now for what, 6, 7 years,
Yeah, a long time.
and you go and work out. You watch your diet. You get in a car, you go racing. You have the strength to go racing that many people don't even have the strength of if they weren't sick. But you keep pushing. You keep trying to excel. You're not giving up. You're not letting the cancer control you. You're going to show it it's not winning. You're giving it a battle.
We're in a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're close. You know, we
Yeah.
it's a love hate thing.
Yeah. And one day you win a little,
And
one day they win a little.
yeah, like I said, there's really dark moments. There's dark holes. There's all of that. And you know, um, I'm a racer. I have that mental attitude, and other racers know what that is, and it's seconds last, and you give it 150% all the time, and that's what I've tried to do. That's what I work on doing. It's really hard sometimes, and you know,
Yeah, this is not like a cold where you're going to battle it. You're going to get through it a little bit at a time. And after a week, you're done. You've been now battling this head on for how many years?
well, it started in '04. I got diagnosed in '04, and that's when I took out the prostate. And then, over the years, it just kind of kept creeping back in, but it stayed in the prostate bed, so it didn't become stage 4. It stayed localized. And then 8 years ago, it spread. It went to my spine, 5 vertebrae, 4 ribs on one side, 3 on the other, my neck, and both shoulders. And I asked my oncologist if it went to my brain, and he said it didn't matter. It's the same treatment. So
Well, that made an assumption about the brain being there. You're a racer.
exactly, and that was the key point to that whole conversation.
Yeah,
That's when I realized how smart my oncologist was.
there you go. Good.
Mhm.
It's
It's always good to have a smart oncologist, that's for sure.
They
Uh,
are good. Yes.
Tell me about how the fact that you can still race affects your treatment and also your outlook.
Well, I got into this fight young, so there were times I had to stop racing. I wasn't ready. I didn't want to. I'm still competitive, and I always said as long as I'm competitive, I'm going to keep going. So I just keep doing that. Um, I I cleared up mentally. I had a chemo brain going for years, and it went away a couple years ago, and I cleared up, and I started looking at around me, and I decided how I wanted to live my life, and I wanted to go racing again, and I went out and did a practice day with Biggie at Maxwell in his car, and it was it's like I don't know 2 or 3 years after 2 years after we did Bonneville, same year we did Bonneville, I don't remember, but anyway, it was it was good. It just it had been quite a few. It'd been like at least 5 years since I'd driven a sprint car, and it was just a really really good day, and it made me feel good. I was under treatment at the time, and I didn't really feel good. And, I had that opportunity. Biggie called me and said, "Hey, you still got your gear?" And I said, "Yeah, we're gonna have a practice day," and off I went, and it was incredible, and I felt good, and I put everything aside that day. I became a race car driver for however many laps I ran that day. And I went home and I looked at all that. And then I talked to my doctor and I said, I think I want to go racing again. And it took a couple more years to get there. But um, I finally walked in her office after, I guess it was 7 years. Yeah, 7 years, 6, 7 years. And I flat out told her, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to go racing. I'm going to go run a sprint car again." And she said, "Well, let's do some tests." And we did all that. We did a whole bunch of stuff. And she just gave me her blessing, and then I had to get permission from upper management. And we went through all of that, and I ended up in a sprint car again. And it was my one lap, one race, one season tour. And my wife continually reminds me of that because when I have a bad day at the racetrack, it takes a minute. I'm competitive. I'm still a racer. So the surprise of that whole deal is that we came out and we were competitive, and then this year we're even more competitive. So it helps me mentally to be able to take something back that something stole from me. It's not revenge at all. I mean, the best revenge is success. So I'm just trying to you know take what I can get back when I can get it back. And racing's always been a huge part of my life, and to get back on a sprint car and be competitive and have people look at you like you're a racer again, you're not a feel good cancer patient story and all that. It's really freeing, and it really motivates me to fight really hard.
All right.
And
So you've got the book, and the book talks about your challenges, your struggles, and you're working towards getting back as a top level racer.
not top level. I just want to race every Saturday.
But you are top level. I mean, well, you started the season, you won. You took the main event.
Yeah, circumstances.
Circumstance, but you've been competitive. You went through most of the season in the top three positions.
We were competitive.
Yeah.
And we were more competitive this year.
Yes.
I have a problem with chronic fatigue, and I shouldn't publicize this because it's like blood in the water. But I get tired. I mean, I don't know, I think I led 6 main events this year that I probably should have won, and I just run out of steam. I run out of gas, and I either get spun or I finish
I don't think
second.
that I don't think that's a surprise, Bob, to anybody. I mean, with what you're going through and the cancer situation, the fact that you may be a little tired after what you're doing. Hello. I mean,
You know,
I think there's
I
not a
get that,
person
but
watching this right now that is surprised at
Yeah.
that.
I understand that, Randy, and I get it. Believe me, I understand all of it. But again, the part that keeps me going is that part of me that's so competitive. I'm not going to let this win, you know?
Well, and that's it. You keep struggling. Not that you're struggling. You're addressing it. You're facing it head on. You're not letting it guide you. You're guiding it.
I'm just trying to show people that, you can be your own advocate. You can dig deeper. You can get therapy. You can do whatever it takes to be able to fight this battle mentally, because mentally is the hardest part of it. The physical part of it, it happens. You got no choice in that. The mental part of it, if you can work on that and you can sharpen that, it's an easier fight. It's not a better fight. It's not a smarter fight. Well, it is a smarter fight. It's the only way I can do it. I.
You're motivating people. You're not giving up. You're telling them just because the big C is now been diagnosed with your life, you don't have to give up. You don't have to just sit back and say, all right, I've got cancer, nothing I can do. I'm sitting back and I'm just going to live out the rest of whatever God lets me live. You've said, okay, I've got cancer. Okay, I'm going back. And I'm going back to my other life, my real life.
There's a lot of that has to do with education. A lot of that has to do
Okay.
with false information. Um, I really, really think they need to change that word. I mean, the cancer word is just it's outlived its welcome. And
Okay.
every time you say that word, it's drama. It's this, it's that. And then when you put a number in front of it, and people are they're the Walking Dead. I'm
Yeah.
not that guy.
Bob,
I'm
what's like the best piece of advice of dealing with this that you've received since the whole thing started becoming part of your life?
ah, boy, there's been so much advice, and I I trust my oncologist, my doctor so much that I don't listen to a lot of that. I listen to her, and she gives me advice all the time. And I think the best advice she gave me was don't read. Because, as a cancer patient, you're always researching, you're reading, you're trying to figure out what's going on, but it's different for everybody. And when I was able to compartmentalize, which is really, really important in this battle, it's hard to compartmentalize. I mean, we live our lives in schedules and work and rushing, and, we're going racing, we're going on vacation, we're doing this, we're doing that, and when you learn how to compartmentalize every part of that, it makes that fight a lot easier. So when I was able to compartmentalize the fact that I didn't have to fact check my doctor and I didn't have to read up on stuff, I didn't have to do this and do that, it more became more of a casual cancer.
Interesting way to describe it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know, right?
Well, I think whatever it takes to get you to deal with it the best is really what you're looking for.
Randy, the problem is that we all know exactly who we are, deep down in the core. And sometimes when people get in these battles with cancer or health issues or whatever, they don't really dig deep enough into their own toolbox there. They go along with the protocol, with the program. They fall into that trap of I know nothing about this, so I'm going to have to listen to this person, and this person. And sometimes they're not right. And sometimes it's different for everybody. And
Mhm.
you know, it's a, you got to catch this early.
Yeah.
And once you catch it early, you got to stay on course. I haven't changed very much in the last 8 years. 8 years ago, they said, well, and then maybe 5 years. Well, here we are. And as you go through that, and you go through that battle, all of a sudden your doctors are looking at you a little bit differently. They're not looking at you like a chart anymore. And they kind of get into your life a little bit, and it becomes a personal thing. It becomes like I don't know. It's my doctors and I have relationships that I never would have had with anybody, and I'm so grateful for that. I love my doctors, and everybody's on the same page in that deal.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like belonging to a little club, that everybody's striving for the same uh, result.
Okay, but your book, Racing Cancer, why that title?
Because I think there's a correlation between racing and cancer. There is
Okay,
in my life, and I feel the way that I handle my racing is the same way I handle my cancer. It's just
how's that?
well, it's all in, focused, ready to do battle, whatever it takes. Uh, learning. I've been racing my whole life. I learn every single time I get in that car. And I think for me, the attitude is passion. And when I learned I could move passion around, I didn't know I could do that for a while, but when I learned that I could move passion around and put it where it needed to be, it made perfect sense that the correlation between racing and cancer is the racing's what's keeping me here, keeping me standing up. And it doesn't have to be racing. It could be golf. It could be bowling. It could be whatever it is you do. You can't just put that aside. You got the cancer right here all the time. And that's all you think about. So all of a sudden, all this stuff goes over here and you become that guy. And you're like, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be this guy again. So you get back what you can get back at whatever percentage you're at. And, fortunately for me, I'm really blessed. I still have my reflexes. I don't have much eyesight left, but I have glasses. Can't hear anymore.
Huh?
But yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But other than that, I've been blessed with my reflexes, and I've been I've retained everything it took for me to get back into the race car at that level. And it I don't want to say it was like riding a bicycle, but it really really woke me up when I started racing again. It was yeah, there wasn't going to be any stopping it. Yeah, my wife saw it. Everybody in my life saw it. It's like it didn't change me. It just
Woke you back up again.
woke me up, you
Yeah.
know.
And
And then I started.
philosophically, racing cancer is kind of like, as we all know, life kind of is a race. From the
Well,
moment we pop out, we're doing our own
I'm
thing.
sorry to interrupt. I'm stage 4 terminal, so I'm never going to beat cancer. I'm never going to be faster than cancer. Whatever. I'm never going to be that guy. I'm always going to be racing cancer, always. And it depends on how you race, you know. And man, I don't like looking over my shoulder. I've been looking over my shoulder for 8 years, 7 years, whatever. I'm at the point now where I just don't want to look over my shoulder. I'm working again. I'm doing what I do. Listen, man, I struggle. My wife's not happy with me sometimes because I push myself too hard and on and on and on. And I've been pretty sick the last month or so, and we haven't had a race. And I was sick yesterday, and I told my wife yesterday morning flat out. I said, I don't think I don't think I'll be racing Saturday. And she knew how sick I was, and she just kind of laughed at me and said, "Yeah, right." And I told Cole yesterday, I didn't know if I was going to make it or not, and that becomes a joke of the day. So racing cancer is clearly, clearly the path I'm being led, and hopefully it's resonating through me to a bunch of other people so that, they can go do what they do, We might, I think next year at Ventura, we're going to start a cancer class.
Why not? Get people involved. I mean, you've shown the guys and ladies that are racing, because you've got Randy
Randy
Pancratz,
Pancratz.
and she's a tough driver.
You think?
But you've shown them that you come back, you didn't lose anything. Yeah, you had the fatigue issue, but up until that fatigue hits you, they can't catch you. They can only follow.
Yeah, well, and that's really rewarding too. I humbly and graciously, I've had people tell me that, when you're on, you're the one to beat.
Yeah.
I think I'm, 15 years older than the next guy, 20 than most. I don't know. I'm old.
Yeah, you're
but,
still younger than me.
but,
Okay, so how old are you, Bob?
Me?
Yeah.
71.
Okay. So you're a youngin' compared to
He
Bob next to
says
you
what
there,
people
the
want.
old man.
No, he's old. Um, but yeah, so yeah. Anyway, the racing part of life is I'm having so much fun with it because I love the people I race with mostly. There's a couple, but, there's rivalries, and it wouldn't be racing if there weren't any rivalries. And you know, I usually don't start them, but
But you finish it.
yeah, sometimes.
Yeah,
Well,
but
what's
you do it. I mean, it's a combination of things here. First off, you're racing cancer. You've got cancer. You're racing to beat it. Don't know that you ever will beat it, but you're going to hold it at bay. It's going to be in second place behind you. The same thing with the other people on track, because no one else is in their senior years like you are, and you're showing them the back of the car most of the time. So the age hasn't slowed you down. It hasn't changed your skill level. The cancer has had an effect. It hasn't slowed you down completely. You're still leading the pack. And you've shown them this, and you've shown them the perseverance that you've got, that you don't have to give up because someone tells you, you got cancer, or, at your age, yeah, those aren't limits for you.
a lot of people
So
would
Yeah,
just fold
I
the tent and move on and say, okay, I'm going to wait and let whatever happens happen and do nothing, just kind of wait in bed or whatever. You're not doing that, and I think what a lot of people who are watching this show and watching you go through life right now, the message is coming to them that just because you may have a life-ending issue going, you don't let that stop you. You go forward,
yeah.
you don't give up, and you live life to as long as you can do it. And my friend, that's exactly what you're doing, even though you may, feel like the gas gauge is running low or whatever, you are continuing and succeeding to the best that you can
already
do, as long
overcome
as you can.
Yeah. There's no reason to give up now.
No, and
There's no reason at
listen,
any time.
I tell everybody, especially new cancer patients. I've talked to people that are stage 1, stage 2, and that their whole life is completely turned around, and it will be like that for a couple months. But anyway, I explain to them all the new medicines that are coming out, and all the new meds and the this and that, and the treatments and everything else. And hopefully with everything that's going on, maybe we can take that word terminal out of the vocabulary. It'd be okay just be stage 4. Oh, you're stage 4. Okay, cool. It's spread. We have this, and this. Let's go do it under control and have it, have a nice day. So, I'm hoping that the treatments continue to where we can get rid of the word terminal. And, I think everybody hears terminal, not everybody, but people hear terminal, I think death, it's like, yeah, you're the Walking Dead, there it is, and they look at you differently and they treat you differently and they do all of that. And, it's important to learn how to handle that. It could really ruin your day if you let it.
Life is terminal.
Life
It's the
is
leading.
terminal.
It's the leading cause of death. Life.
Absolutely.
So
Shockingly. Mhm.
yeah, and so no one's going to get out of this alive. Some of them, some of us get a little bit of a warning, or uh, a sentence that you know it's inevitable in a certain period of time. But you've taken what they called a period of time. We given you this. You said earlier they gave you 5. You're on 8. So it's not an exact science, but you're challenging it. You're challenging the limits that they gave you, and you're throwing the limits out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
Something that,
variables to any situation. And I think what you're doing is you're showing everybody that it's not what the doctors say. That's a slam dunk. You can't, just because they think that things are going to go bad before they get better doesn't mean they will. And it all depends on really the spirit that you put into it. And I think anybody who's watched this program and watched you on our program and some of the things you've said over the years knows that you're not a guy to give up, number one. Number two, you do your own way and you do your own thing. And what you're doing is kind of beating the odds, I think is the best way to put it. So you go, guy.
I'm going.
That's a
I'm going. I think I'm walking down the path I'm being led, and if that's the case, however this works, I'm proud.
you're not
Every time.
walking, you're running.
Listen, I'm old. I'm tired, Bob.
Yeah, you're still younger than me.
Yeah. So we're gonna run. I think we're gonna run one more season. I wanted to get. We ran for a championship this year and didn't plan on it, but we led the points like I don't know 70% of the year or something. And in the last couple of races, I kind of got knocked out of that points lead, and there's one more race left, and you know, I'd have to win, 3 more to even get it up there again. But I think we're going to end up second or third in the points, which I'm proud of that. It's awesome. But it's also motivating me to come back another year. So I think everything happens for a reason. And I think because I didn't get my championship this year, I'm going to have to stay healthy for at least another year
Exactly.
to go back and run another season.
That's it.
Okay. So before we let you go, I'd like to get some feedback from you on the book itself, and really two things about the book that you think are highlights that people would really want to check out. What messages should they get, or what stories are in there that you think is something worth sharing?
Well, it's not that it's all over the board. It's just there's a lot of different subjects, and I try to keep it organic and raw, and blue collars is what we're going through. I think that a couple of the chapters in there's one chapter on mental health that I think is really good. It's called Looking in the Mirror. Um, there's another one about the old me that shows up, that still shows up. I think that's important for people to realize. There's another chapter in there just for men, and you can figure out what that's about. Um, I think those are important. I talk about how important the doctor is. I talk about, I've got all my doctors in the book at the back with their pictures, and I think there's 6 of them. I don't know how many, but I think that all of that's important. The mental health part of it and the doctor part of it. If the doctor is so important. Um,
Hmm.
more than anybody knows. My doctor was 2 weeks out of medical school when I met her, and young, 34 years old, and just she found me. I didn't find her, and I had an appointment with another doctor, and they canceled because they were getting my doctor patients, and I'm pretty sure I was one of her first patients. But when I first met her, I had 3 other opinions I was going to go get, and I liked her, and she was great and everything. But then there was something about her. And she said, you're here. Why don't we do blood work now? And we did blood work that day, and it was a Friday. And she called me on Monday and told me she was concerned. And I asked her if I was going to be okay. And she just kept going. I never thought about getting a second opinion. I was listening to her and listening to her. And she was so confident and so strong. And the way she was explaining things, I interrupted her and I said, "So are you my doctor?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm your doctor, but you're going to do this, and this." And the next day I was in there doing the things that I swore to her I wasn't going to do. We had a long talk. We've been together 8 years. And I think that the doctor part of this is really, really important. Doctor mentality, all of that, and self-care. So let me list about 12 of those chapters. I think are great. Yeah, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are pointing out the race between regular life and cancer life, and how you can kind of bring those together. You know,
So where do we find the book if someone wants to buy it?
it's on Amazon.
So there it is.
There it is.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Bob Alderman. And of
Thank you, Randy.
course, we've known him for years out here on the West Coast, and um, he is a very competitive guy, as you could tell. And I'm talking about more than just driving. I think obviously this is someone that has been given some bad news and kind of says, "Oh yeah, hold my beer," and then he basically goes around and does this thing. By the way, did you drink beer once upon a
I,
time?
I don't drink.
Oh, good for you.
No, I got diagnosed in '04, and I didn't drink much then, but we would have a few beers on Saturday night after the races with the guys, and that was it. I didn't drink during the week or anything like that. We didn't go out drinking. Um, but then when I got diagnosed, they told me flat out, alcohol, meat, this and that. I've been on the same diet for 20, 21 years, 22 years. No meat, no sugar, no fun. I cheat. I cheat every now and then, and when my numbers are low and I'm feeling good and blah blah blah, you know, my doctor will say, you can have some ice cream.
I'd be interested in one
Then we have to
thing.
define what some is. Her sum
Yeah.
is like a bowl,
Yeah.
like once a week or something. My sum is like 3 gallons.
hmm Before we let you go, I'd like to get something. People are watching this who may someday or maybe now are being affected by what you're being affected with. What is the lone piece of advice, probably the best piece of advice that you've learned as far as how to deal with this whole thing? I mean, again, it's been going on for years with you. Is it
Are we talking
patience?
first diagnosis, Randy?
Yeah. So from the beginning, knowing,
Okay.
who knows what how long it's going to be and whatever. What was the best advice you received?
The best advice I gave myself. Well, the first of and it depends on what stage you're at when you get diagnosed. I got it early, so I was able to go see doctors, and I saw radiologists, and I saw this guy and that guy, and I was able to choose what treatment I was going to do this with. And back in '04, there were only 3 treatments. So depending on what stage it is, like if someone, because you don't feel it, you know, bone cancer hurts, but it doesn't hurt until it's too late. Um, I didn't discover mine with pain. We discovered it with early detection. Um, but depending on the stage, you gotta get in there, and you gotta find that doctor, and you know um, go see 3 or 4 of them if you need to. I was very, very fortunate. I was really lucky to run into my doctor, but there's different levels of, I shouldn't say this. There's different levels of care. I think there's better hospitals than others. And, some people don't follow that protocol. They go for whatever works for them. But I truly think that where you go is very important. UCLA is really good. City of Hope is amazing. There's Hope down in Newport Beach, Cancer Center up in Santa Barbara.
Hmm
There's several of them. And I think the most important thing is before you even have to choose a doctor, you have to put the brakes on whatever's happening with the cancer. So if you've got something going on, you need to get in some kind of treatment at least to stall it until you research and decide what you want to do with it and decide how you want to fight. It all depends on how much time you have. If you're stage 4, straight to City of Hope. Don't even think twice.
Last thought for me, in your favorite racing memory
Oh
in
boy.
your
Well,
career.
my
I say your best racing memory. What's the first thing that pops into your head?
pre-cancer or post-cancer?
Free.
Pre-cancer?
Yeah.
Um,
or the whole kit and caboodle, whatever's the
well,
favorite.
I won quite a few motocross races. I had a #1 plate when I was a kid. That was awesome. I love motorcycles. I only did it for 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years before I got into cars. Um, I, I've had some big moments. I put in at the Score Off-Road World Championships. I raced against Mears. I led the Coliseum race, the Mickey Thompson race, and Mears was second. And I broke on the last corner of the last lap coming to the checkered flag. I've had a few of those. Um, but I think boy, let me think. I'll come up with something. Um, I think it was the night I won my third sprint car race in a row. That was something that was very unusual at the time to win 3 in a row.
All right, now you did something else too that we haven't even touched on. You were on television for a while,
Wrench Wars.
Wrench Wars.
Yeah,
You were one of the judges.
I was the resident judge.
You were the resident judge for Wrench Wars TV show,
It's in the
and
book,
it's in the book.
chapter 5.
Get the book, Racing Cancer by Bob Alderman.
See, the
There
funny
it
thing
is.
is, we asked him top things in the book. He didn't even think of that, which is like, oh, okay, that's on top of all the stuff he's already talked about. So very
Yeah.
good. Go get the book. Just stop. The show's over. Go get the book. Let us know what you think. Get a hold of us.
You know what, Randy? Thank you
Yes.
so much for mentioning that. Anybody, please, if you do get the book for whatever reason, um, write a review.
Yeah.
Just let
Oh.
us know, and then
And it's not necessarily if you've got cancer.
no,
If you've got a
No.
friend, get them the book.
it touches
Sure.
1 in 2 people. Cancer somehow.
I'm a survivor. My wife's a survivor.
My wife's a survivor.
So, you never know when this is going to affect you
Mm-hmm.
or who it's going to affect.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, coming out the other side, oh my gosh, I get to live every day like this. I'm a pretty happy camper right now.
There he is, Bob Alderman, joining us on the podcast. Hot Rod Bob back, of course. Don't forget, we'll be back with more episodes coming up. Not necessarily done recently, but something. The ones that we had on PowerTube are still pretty good. Don't forget to subscribe to us because we're trying to build a channel and we're trying to get more people involved. And we'd like to keep doing these. And if you like them, then you want to see us do more of them, subscribe, because that really is the best way to do it. Either that or send money anonymously to Bob. And then, of course, we'll see what happens. And Bob won't tell me about it. So we'll see where it goes from
You know what it cost me to
there.
get him to open the door today, Randy?
What's that?
You know what it cost me to get him to open the door today?
Okay, Bob. There you go.
All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
Randy.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been Talking About Cars with Randy and Hot Rod Bob. And if you like it, let us know. Tell your friends and get the book. All right. See you later, everybody.